The night was quiet. Joran sat alone in his small home deep in the alien colony zone. He was a human mechanic, one of the few allowed to live this far out from Earth territory. The stars outside his window were sharp and cold. Wind howled across, the desert land carrying dust and silence. He took a sip of hot tea, leaned back in his chair and sighed. The day had been long. Machines had broken again. Supplies were short, and he hadn't spoken to another living soul since noon. Then, knock, knock, knock. His cup froze midair. The sound came again, slow, weak, barely strong enough to shake the door. Joran stood. He grabbed the tool rod beside the wall just in case. Nobody knocked out here. Visitors meant trouble. Or worse. He opened the door just a crack. What he saw made him drop the rod instantly. A tall, alien woman stood there. Barely. Her skin was light blue, glowing faintly under the moonlight. She was thin, too thin. Her arms shook as she held something in front of her. Two small alien children, a boy and a girl. They looked tired, scared, and hungry. The woman's lips moved. No sound. Came. She tried again. Please. And then she collapsed. Joran rushed forward, catching her before she hit the ground. The two children cried out, grabbing their mother's arms, their small faces full of fear. "Help her! Help Mama!" the boy cried, his voice high and broken. Joran didn't stop to think. He carried the woman inside, laid her on the old sleeping mat, and tossed a warm blanket over her. The children followed, still clinging to her. One had no shoes. The other wore a shirt full of holes. "What happened to you?" Joran asked softly, mostly to himself. He quickly lit the small heater, poured hot water into 3 cups, and offered them one by one. The kids drank fast. Their hands shook with every sip. The woman slowly opened her eyes. Her voice was hoarse. "Thank you." Joran nodded. "You're safe here." She looked around, confused, afraid. "We ran. No food. Days. I knock. No more strength." He studied her face. She was young, maybe close to his age, but the lines of fear and exhaustion made her look much older. Her clothes were torn, her skin marked with bruises and small burns. "Who did this to you?" She didn't answer. Her hand rested on the girl's head. The boy stared at Joran with wide eyes. "Are you human?" the boy asked. "Yes," the boy whispered. "They said humans are bad." Joran blinked. "And what do you think?" The child looked down. "You gave me tea." Joran smiled faintly. "I'll get you something to eat." He opened the food pack he had been saving. Not much, just a few protein bars, dried fruit, and some warm broth, but to the children it was a feast. They ate in silence, their eyes bright and their hands trembling. The woman took only a small piece. She gave the rest to her kids. "You're starving," Joran said. "Eat." "I must feed them first," she replied. Her voice was soft. Her eyes met his. In them, Joran saw pain, deep pain, the kind that didn't come from just hunger. He waited until they had eaten, then handed her a clean towel. "There's water in that room. Wash up. You'll feel better." She nodded slowly and walked away, moving like her legs were made of stone. The kids curled up beside the heater, already half asleep. When she returned, she looked a little more alive. She sat down beside her children and covered them with the blanket. Her glowing eyes stared at the fire. "I have no home," she said. Joran leaned forward. "Where's their father?" She looked away. "Killed. For speaking against the trade masters." Joran felt his chest tighten. He had heard of the trade masters, cruel alien rulers who used fear to control the poor. He hated them, but he had never imagined someone like this, running for her life with 2 kids, would land at his door. "Why come to me?" he asked. The woman looked straight at him now. "Because someone said a human lives here, a kind one, a man who helps without asking much. Joran stayed silent. "I did not expect kindness," she whispered. "I only hoped." He looked at her children. They were already asleep in her lap, breathing softly. The girl's hand held tightly onto her mother's tunic. The wind outside howled again, but inside there was warmth now. Joran stood. "You and the kids can stay tonight." The woman's lip trembled. "Thank you. Human." He shook his head. "My name's Joran." She nodded. "I am Naea." They sat quietly after that. No more questions, no more words, just the silent promise of safety. For now. But Joran had a feeling. This night was only the beginning. Morning came with soft light through the cracks in the metal walls. The alien sky was pale purple, with 2 suns rising slowly. Inside Joran's small shelter it was quiet, except for the soft breathing of the children still sleeping near the heater. Joran sat at the edge of his workbench, staring at the woman who now sat awake in the corner. Her name was Naea. She hadn't slept. She just held her children and stared at the floor. Her skin looked a little warmer now, less pale than last night. But her eyes still held that same sadness. "You should rest," Joran said gently. "I can't," she whispered. Joran placed a hot cup in front of her. She took it with both hands but didn't drink. I can tell you what happened. You should know. We shouldn't stay here without telling you." "You don't have to," Joran replied. "You're not a prisoner." Naea looked up, her glowing eyes meeting his. "But I am, in a way. Not by chains, by fear, by debt, by grief." Joran sat down across from her. "Tell me." She nodded slowly. "I was a bonded mate," she began. "Not by choice. My people make marriage through trade. My husband was a kind man. He tried to protect me and the children from what was coming." Her voice trembled, but she went on. "The trade masters began taking more than they gave. Food, power, freedom. My husband spoke out. He asked for justice. He was arrested at night. We never saw him again." Joran clenched his jaw. "They took our home," she said. "Said it belonged to the system now. They marked my children as excess mouths. That means they don't deserve to be fed." "That's insane," Joran whispered. Naea smiled sadly. "Yes, but it's their law." She paused and looked at her children. The boy, barely older than 6, slept with one arm over his little sister. "I worked in the steam fields to feed them," she said. "But then someone accused me of theft. It was a lie. Still, they burned my mark and told me to disappear. If they saw me again, they would sell me. Or worse." She lifted her sleeve. A black burn mark in the shape of a V showed on her forearm. Joran felt a flash of anger rise in his chest. "So we ran," she continued. "We ate roots. Cold. Meat from trash bins. I knocked on many doors, no one opened. Until yours." Silence followed. Joran didn't know what to say. Her story felt unreal, but her voice, her scars, and her children were all too real. They were the truth. "You risked everything," he said softly. "I had no choice," she replied. "I would rather die in the cold than watch my children be taken." Joran stood and walked to his small pantry. He brought out a wrapped piece of bread and handed it to her. "You won't die here." Naea blinked. "You say that so easily." "Because I mean it." She stared at him. "You don't even know us." "I don't have to," Joran replied. "I just know what kind of people I want to be around. And you're not weak. You're stronger than most I've ever met." Her hands trembled as she took the bread. She shared it with the children as they slowly woke. Their eyes lit up when they saw the food. The little girl hugged her mother tightly. The boy looked at Joran and smiled for the first time. "Can we stay longer?" the boy asked. Joran nodded. "As long as you need." Naaya's eyes filled with tears. She looked away quickly, wiping her face. I'm sorry, I don't cry easily. You've earned it, Joran said. She took a deep breath. I only wanted someone to protect them. Not me, just them. I don't matter. Joran frowned. That's not true. You matter to them. So you matter to me. She stared at him again. Longer this time. Something in her expression changed. Like a small crack had formed in the wall around her heart. Then she said something that stopped Joran cold. If I offered myself to you, as wife, as family, would you take us in? He blinked. What? Naaya's voice was firm now, though still soft. Not for romance. Not for passion. For safety. For family. If I say I belong to you, no one will dare take us. You are human. You are feared. Joran looked at her children. They were already playing with a broken screwdriver and a wrench like they were toys. Laughing softly, he looked back at Naaya. You don't have to offer yourself like that, but I want to, she said, and for them I will do anything. Joran didn't answer right away. He sat back, looking at the woman who had knocked on his door just hours ago. A stranger. Now asking him to become family? He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing. This wasn't just a rescue. This was the start of something much bigger. The next day, Joran worked outside fixing the solar unit, but his mind wasn't focused. He kept thinking about Naaya's words from the night before. If I say I belong to you, no one will dare take us. He didn't know how to answer her then. Even now, he didn't have a full answer. But when he looked back at the small window and saw two little faces watching him, smiling, giggling, his heart felt heavy and full at the same time. They were starting to trust him. And he had to decide fast if he would truly let them stay. That evening, as the sky turned orange, Naaya stepped outside. She had washed her clothes and patched a few holes using his old rags. Even like that, with sun-kissed skin and tired eyes, she looked calm, strong, still standing after all she had been through. Can we talk? She asked quietly. Joran wiped his hands on a towel. Yeah. They sat together on the wooden steps outside his metal home. The two kids played in the dust, drawing little shapes with sticks. Naaya looked down. We can't hide forever. Someone will report us. Joran nodded. You're not wrong. She looked at him carefully. But if they believe I am yours and they won't touch us. Joran didn't answer right away. He watched the children. The boy made spaceship sounds. The girl laughed when a breeze blew her long hair over her face. No one wants us, Naaya said. Not as workers, not as neighbors, not even as beggars. Joran clenched his jaw. Then they're blind, because I see something good right in front of me. She turned to him, surprised. You took care of those kids better than most mothers I've seen, Joran said. You gave them your food, your warmth, your strength, and they love you more than anything. Naaya's eyes shimmered. They are all I have. Joran looked at her. You said something last night about offering yourself, becoming my wife. She nodded slowly. I don't want you to feel like you have to do that, he said. But if that's really what you want, if you want a home, not just shelter, then yes. You and the kids can stay, as long as you need. And if calling me your husband keeps you safe, then so be it. Naaya's lips parted. She didn't speak. Instead, she closed her eyes for a moment like she was holding something back. Then, softly, she said, No one has ever said those words to me. Not even my first mate. He was chosen by contract, not love. Joran rubbed the back of his neck. I'm not promising love, Naaya. I don't know you well enough. But I do promise respect. Safety. Food. Warmth. You and the kids will never go hungry again. That night she moved her sleeping children to the second cot inside his shelter. She folded her hands in front of him and gave a soft bow. From This day we are yours, human. Joran didn't know what to say, so he only nodded. The next morning, everything changed. Joran walked into the nearby settlement for supplies. He needed more blankets, food, and children's clothes. At the small market, a local trader squinted at him. You got kids now, Joran? Joran placed a small stack of ration chips on the counter. Yes. And a wife? The man asked, raising an eyebrow. Yes, Joran said calmly. An alien, widow and her children. They live with me now. The trader stared. You serious? Very. Whispers spread fast. By the time Joran returned to his home, 4 neighbors had already passed by, pretending to be curious. But he saw the judgment in their eyes. Later that day, one woman from the village approached his door with fake concern. You really shouldn't be keeping her here, it'll bring trouble. Joran stood tall. This is my home. They are my family now. No one touches them. The woman scoffed and walked away, but the message was sent. That night, Joran sat with the children around the fire pit outside. Naea brought out some berries she had found near the stream. The kids laughed as Joran made silly faces while eating the sour ones. For the first time, their laughter felt real. Naea watched from the side, her arms wrapped around herself. When Joran looked over, she met his eyes. They smile, she whispered, like they did before. You gave them that, Joran said. She smiled faintly. No. You did? Then something strange happened. The little girl, without warning, climbed onto Joran's lap and curled up against his chest. Her eyes closed instantly. Naea gasped softly. She hasn't done that since her father. Joran didn't move. He gently held the child close, feeling her warmth, her trust. No one wanted them. No one cared. But in this quiet moment, surrounded by stars and firelight, one human did. The first sign came with silence. Joran noticed it when he walked into the supply post 2 days later. The usual shopkeeper grin didn't smile or say hello. Others glanced at him, then looked away quickly. A group of workers who once shared meals with him now left as he entered. Joran stood still for a moment, then walked to the counter. I need fabric for 2 children and a woman. And medicine, Grin stared at him. For the alien widow? Yes, Joran said calmly. Grin's jaw tightened. You really took her in? She knocked on my door with starving kids. What would you have done? Grin didn't answer. He bagged the items slowly, placed them on the counter, and said flatly, You should be careful. People are talking. I've noticed. Joran left without saying another word. Back home, the children were painting rocks outside. Naea had made paint from crushed berries and clay. The kids laughed as they turned stones into little colorful animals. Joran crouched beside them. What are you two making? The boy grinned. This one is a warrior rock. He protects the small ones. Joran smiled. He sounds like someone I know. Inside, Naea was washing clothes in a metal tub. When she saw his face, her smile faded. Something happened? He nodded. They know, and they don't like it. Naea lowered her head. We can leave. I don't want you in danger. You're not leaving, Joran said firmly. This is your home now too. She looked at him, her expression unreadable. Then we should prepare. Trouble will come. That night, trouble did come. It started with a knock, not soft and scared like Naea's had been. Bang, bang, bang. Joran opened the door carefully, weapon in hand. 3 men stood outside. One wore an old mining uniform, another had a scar across his nose. The third reeked of alcohol. We heard, You're harboring a freak, the drunk one spat. You heard right, Joran said calmly. People don't like it, the scarred one added. A human living with a thing. Joran stepped forward, voice cold. She has a name. Her name is Naea. And the children are just that. Children. If you've come here to hurt them, turn around. Now. The leader scoffed. You really think you can scare us? I don't have to scare you, Joran replied. But I will stop you. The scarred man reached for something in his coat. In one fast move, Joran slammed the door shut and locked it. He turned to Naea, who was holding both kids close, her eyes wide. They'll be back, she whispered. I know, Joran said, so we're going to make this place safe. He spent the next morning reinforcing the walls, locking the windows, and setting up traps. His military past had taught him more than how to fix machines. He showed Naea how to use the stun stick. He gave the children a special whistle and taught them to run to a hidden panel if danger came. Will they hurt Mama? The little girl asked. No one will hurt her, Joran promised. Not while I'm here. Later that evening, a surprise came. A man named Boro, one of the oldest settlers, knocked gently at the door. When Joran opened it, Boro raised his hands in peace. I heard what happened, he said. And I just want to say, I think you're doing the right thing. Joran blinked. Really? Boro nodded. Most of these people forgot what it's like to be decent, but I remember when we came here, how hard it was. Your girl's not the first alien to be pushed aside, but she might be the first one with someone to protect her. He handed Joran a box. Inside were fruits, dried meat, and a few power cells. For the kids, Boro said. They deserve better. Joran nodded, grateful. Thank you. Just keep your eyes open. Some folks don't like peace. The next week was tense. Some threw trash at Joran's home. Others left warnings on the wall in red paint. Traitor. But more surprising was what happened after that. One night, a quiet knock came again. When Joran opened the door, a small alien child stood there holding her mother's hand. The woman looked tired and scared. We heard what you did, she said. Is it true you took in a widow? Joran stepped aside. Come in. More came the next day. Not many. Just 2 more mothers with small children. All of them afraid. All of them desperate. Naea welcomed them in, offering warm soup and kind words. Her quiet strength became something others leaned on. Joran watched it all unfold. His home, once silent and cold, now buzzed with life. It wasn't just about one widow anymore. It was about hope. About a human who chose kindness over fear. And about a woman who finally felt seen. Not as a burden, but as someone worth protecting. Naea woke up in the middle of the night. She sat up straight, heart pounding. The wind outside had stopped. No sound, no breeze, just silence. And silence on this planet was never good. She walked to the window. In the distance, dark shapes moved in the shadows. A cold fear gripped her chest. She had seen these kinds of shadows before. When her husband was taken, they had found her. Joran sat in the workshop, tightening a bolt on the broken heater. The light flickered. He heard her footsteps before she even spoke. They're here, Naea whispered. He stood quickly. How many? 3 at least. Maybe more. Joran's eyes narrowed. Trade enforcers? She nodded. I know their walk. I remember it. He moved to the back wall and opened the storage crate. Inside were weapons, old, rusty, but still working. A shock pistol, a shield baton, 2 flash mines. Naea looked at the weapons, then at him. You were a soldier, Joran nodded. And tonight, I am again. He handed her a small device. If I say go, press this. It opens the escape tunnel under the floorboards. Take the kids and run south. Don't look back. Naea hesitated. What about you? I'll slow them down. No. Her voice was firm. We don't leave you. Joran paused, then smiled faintly. Then help me protect what we've built. The first knock was polite. Joran opened the door just slightly. 4 tall aliens in dark armor stood there. Smooth helmets, marked uniforms. No names. Human, one said coldly. You are harboring property of the Trade Guild. She's not property, Joran replied. She's a mother. She is, marked, the enforcer said, pointing to the burn on Naaya's arm. And she is ours. No, Joran said, stepping out. She is mine now. There was a pause. The lead enforcer tilted his head. Are you challenging trade law? Joran smiled slightly. I'm ignoring it. The first punch came fast, but Joran was faster. He slammed the door shut, locking it, and turned just as Naaya pressed a button. Metal shutters sealed the windows. The children hid behind a wall panel with two others they had taken in. Fear filled their eyes, but they stayed quiet. Outside, the enforcers began hitting the door with something heavy. Flash mine ready, Joran said. Naaya slid it into the floor trap. The moment the door cracked open, boom, a white light flashed. Screams followed. Joran rushed forward, baton in hand, and hit the first one hard. Sparks flew from the enforcer's helmet. Another raised a weapon, but Naaya leapt from the side and knocked it down with a long metal pole. Joran stared at her. I told you. I don't leave, she said, breathing hard. More shadows moved at the edge of the trees. More are coming, she warned. Joran pressed a button on the wall. A signal flare shot into the sky, bright green. A call for help. I just hope someone sees it, he muttered. Back in the village, Boro, an old miner with a strong arm and sharp eyes, saw the flare. He grabbed his hammer and ran. Inside the house, the children were crying now. Naaya picked them up and moved them to the tunnel entrance, just in case, she whispered. One of the new mothers, an older alien woman, stood in front of the kids with a broken chair leg. She wasn't trained, she wasn't strong, but she was ready to protect. Outside, another blast hit the wall. They have a heat cannon, Joran shouted. We need help now, Naaya said. As if fate answered, a roar came from the forest. A group of villagers, led by Boro, charged toward the enforcers with farming tools. Tools turned weapons, and torches. What's going on here? Boro shouted. The lead enforcer turned to face them. This is trade law business. No one follows that garbage here, Boro growled. You think you can walk into our land and hurt children? The villagers shouted in agreement. Surrounded. Now the enforcers hesitated. Joran stepped out again, blood on his arm but fire in his eyes. You picked the wrong house, he said. The enforcers backed away slowly. This isn't over. Joran raised his weapon. It is for you. The four turned and disappeared into the forest shadows. Hours later, the house was quiet again. The children slept together in one room. The mothers rested with blankets over them. Joran sat on the steps outside, bandaging his arm. Naaya joined him. You didn't have to fight for us, she said softly. He looked at her. But I did. She placed her hand on his. Then let me say it, she whispered. Not for safety. Not for protection. I say it from my heart. She looked into his eyes. I want to be your wife. Not because I must, but because you're the first man who ever made me feel free. Joran didn't speak. He only held her hand tighter. In the distance, the green flare still floated in the sky, fading slowly. But inside this small home, something new had just begun. Not war. Not fear, but family. Joran didn't sleep that night. He sat near the door, weapon in hand, eyes fixed on the shadows outside. Though the enforcers had retreated, he knew they weren't finished. They never gave up that easily. In the next room, the children slept close together. Naaya gently brushed her daughter's hair back, whispering calming words in their native tongue. Joran could hear the tremble in her voice. She tried to hide it, but he knew. She was scared. He was too. The people he once served with as a soldier, cold and heartless men, had turned their system into something worse than war. Now they hunted widows, children, the weak, and they had dared to touch the ones he now called family. That was their mistake. Morning came with smoke. Joran was the first to see it. A nearby house, the home of another alien widow he had sheltered, was burning. Flames rose high, smoke pouring into the sky. Screams filled the air. Without thinking, Joran grabbed his jacket, loaded his pistol, and ran. He reached the burning home in minutes. 2 villagers were already trying to put the fire out. Inside, a woman wailed, my son is inside." Joran didn't stop to think. He threw off his coat and ran straight into the fire. Heat crushed him. Smoke choked him. But he pushed forward, crawling low, eyes stinging. Then he saw him, a small alien boy under a collapsed wooden beam. Joran lifted the beam with a growl, his muscles screaming. The boy gasped for air. Joran scooped him up and ran through the flames as the roof began to fall. They burst out of the doorway just as the structure gave way. Cheers erupted from the small crowd. Joran handed the boy to his mother. She sobbed, clutching her child. "You saved him," she cried. "You saved him." Joran didn't answer. He was already walking away, smoke on his skin, fire in his eyes. Back at home, Naea ran toward him when she saw his burns. "What happened?" "They set a fire," he said. "They wanted to scare us." Her hands trembled as she touched his face. "You could have died. I couldn't let that boy burn." Naea looked at him, really looked. "You don't just act like their protector. You are their father now." Joran didn't reply, but something inside him shifted. He had been alone for years, a soldier, a mechanic, a drifter. Now, he was something else. That evening, Boro returned with news. "The trade enforcers aren't done," the old miner said. "They're regrouping, talking about burning down your home next." Naea stiffened. "We must flee." "No," Joran said. "They'll just find us again. This ends now." He turned to Boro. "Can you get me inside their outpost?" Boro looked surprised. "You're going there?" Joran's jaw tightened. "I won't let them hurt another child. Not while I breathe." Naea stepped forward. "You'll die." "Maybe," Joran said. "But if I don't stop them, more homes will burn. Maybe yours next." She grabbed his arm. "Then let me come." He shook his head. "I need you here. Protect the children. If I don't return by sunrise, take them and go south." Naea's eyes filled with tears. "I just found you. I can't lose you now." Joran leaned in, pressing his forehead to hers. "You won't." That night he moved like a shadow. With Boro's help, he reached the Trade Guild's local post, a small base just outside the village. It was heavily guarded, but Joran had studied it during his patrol days. He knew every weak spot, every blind corner. He slipped in through the side, cut power to the cameras, and entered the main chamber. Inside, he found them, 5 enforcers and 1 overseer. They were laughing over maps, planning who to take next. Joran stepped forward, pistol raised. "Yeet, no more!" They jumped up, startled. "You again?" the overseer growled. "You're alone." "No," Joran said. "I have every child you tried to break, every widow you left to starve, every man who still has a heart. They're with me." He fired. The lights went out. Chaos erupted. Joran moved like lightning, stunning one enforcer, tackling another. One pulled a blade, cutting Joran's arm, but Joran didn't stop. Rage fueled him now. Not just anger, but purpose. He wasn't fighting for orders anymore, he was fighting for family. Minutes later, silence fell. The enforcers lay unconscious or tied. Joran limped out, blood on his arm, but fire still burning in his chest. He left a note behind. "Come near my family again, and I will not leave survivors." By sunrise, Joran returned. Naea saw him from afar and ran to him. "You're alive." He collapsed into her arms. "They won't come back." Tears rolled down her cheeks. She held him tight, whispering, over and over, "You came back, you came back." The children woke and cheered. The other widows gathered around, full of tears and smiles. He had done more than fight. He had won. And now to them all, he wasn't just a protector. He was a father. A hero. A human who refused to let evil win. Morning light spilled across the sky like gold. Joren stood outside his home, watching the sun rise over the alien hills. His shirt was torn, his arm bandaged, and his face still marked with dried blood. But his heart had never felt more steady. Behind him, life had returned. Laughter echoed inside the house. Children chased each other through the main room. 2 alien widows cooked breakfast together, humming softly. And at the center of it all was Naea, strong, graceful, and glowing in the morning light. He stepped inside. Naea looked up and smiled. It was a soft smile, tired but full of peace. "You didn't sleep," she said gently. Joren shrugged. "Didn't want to miss this." "This?" she asked. He nodded toward the children. Laughter, safety, hope. She wiped her hands on a cloth and walked over. "You gave them all of that." He shook his head. "No. You gave them a reason to believe again. I just stood in the way of anyone trying to take it." She touched his hand. "You did more than stand in the way. You bled for them. You fought for strangers like they were your own." Joren looked around the room. One of the little girls sat in his old boots. A boy was trying to fix a broken toy using his tools. He chuckled. "Not strangers anymore." Naea's voice dropped to a whisper. "You are their father now. And mine, if you still want that." Joren turned to her. "I never wanted anything more," he said. Later that day, something unexpected happened. The village elder, a man named Corin, arrived at their home. He brought others with him. Men and women from all over the settlement. Some who had once looked down at Joren. Some who had stayed silent while the enforcers hunted. Now they came with baskets of food, rolls of cloth, clean water, and even books for the children. Corin stepped forward. "We judged too fast. You showed us what being human really means." Joren said nothing, only nodded. Corin turned to Naea. "And you? You protected your own with more strength than any soldier." Naea lowered her head in respect. Corin cleared his throat. "If you will allow it, we'd like to offer something back." Joren raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "A home," Corin said. "A proper one. Near the river. Large enough for the children and the others you've taken in. It's yours not if you'll accept it." Naea gasped. Joren blinked. He looked at the children, then at her. Then he smiled. "We accept." Days turned into weeks. The new house was not fancy, but it was warm, safe, and full of life. Joren fixed the wiring. Naea grew plants in the garden. The children painted the walls with bright colors. And every evening the family sat together, around a fire, under the stars, holding hands. One night, as the fire cracked gently, Naea turned to Joren. "Do you regret it?" Joren looked confused. "What?" "Taking us in, making us yours." He didn't speak right away. Instead, he looked at the sleeping children. One had drooled on his chest. Another held his hand even in sleep. He looked at Naea. "I had no one," he said. "No family. No reason to come home. Until the day you knocked on my door." She leaned against him. "You saved us," she whispered. He shook his head. "You saved me too." Then she said the words she had waited so long to say. "I will never leave you again." Joren wrapped his arms around her. "Good," he whispered, "because I was never letting you go." The next morning the town saw something they had never expected, a wedding, but not like any other. It was held under the twin suns, in the middle of the village. Human and alien guests stood side by side. The children wore flowers in their hair. One of the older widows read the vows in both languages. Naea stood tall in a dress made from cloth the village had gifted her, white and silver, glowing like moonlight. Joren wore a clean shirt and his old military jacket, patched and proud. When she placed her hand in his, the village cheered. No one remembered what the law said. No one cared what the old rules were. They only saw a family that had fought for love. A man who stood for the broken. a woman who never gave up, and children, safe, smiling, and no longer hungry. That night, as the stars came out, Joran sat with Naea on the rooftop of their new home. The children were asleep. The wind was soft. Naea leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you think others like us are still out there?" she asked. "Yes," Joran said. "But maybe now, they'll find us instead." Naea smiled. "Then we'll open the door, just like you did for me."